All right, so today we're talking about warning signs of belonging, and I'm gonna start with a story. We had a freshman class at the university I worked at. I worked at the University of Houston, University of Kansas, and Baylor. We brought in a freshman class, and the first 2 weeks they were on campus, it was a lot going on. A lot of 18-year-old, 17-year-old, some were 16-year-old, things happening, and it was we had a huge disconnect in our culture and what we told them, what we expected, and their actions. Right, we had a massive disconnect. And so that was a warning sign to me in the role, in the player development role of like, okay, how do we create belonging, but also in our belonging, how do we help our freshmen, our incoming players, right? How do we help them understand what we're doing in this program? And so for me, and when I think about my entire career, when things are going bad, when there is a group of individuals in the team making choices that aren't what we want them to make, that to me is we have a belonging problem. This group does not belong, and they have their own team where they're making these choices. And so what we did at that university is I went back to what I learned at the University of Houston under Tom Herman was the Big Brother program. And so we had a Big Brother program where they all had someone, a player that was older, a player that was on the team, and we kind of connected them through different things. It could be never was position. It was normally city, where they're from, background, interests, different things like that, right? And so we connected them. But what I learned was the expectation had to be given to the Big Brothers. And so we had a meeting, we had an emergency meeting with the Big Brothers, and I sat down and said, hey, you all, we have a problem. It is on me. I should have given you the expectation what this is. And this is what it looks like. This is what I need from you all. This is what I'm asking you to do for this player. Now, you can't police them. They're going to make the choices they're going to make. You don't have to babysit them, whatever it may be. But I need you to do this. And so what we did was eventually what happened is there was a check-in every Thursday when they would come in. The Big Brothers would check with me about what's going on with the younger brother, for lack of a better word. And we got better because they knew they had to check in with me. And so they would check in with these newcomers. And what that did was the newcomers felt like, oh, snap, like, they're checking in on me. It's not just us, the newcomers, like, you know, so-and-so that's going to the NFL, so-and-so that's an all-conference player is checking in on me. And so once we got that, we got to nip that belonging problem in the bud. Now, people make individual, choices, and that's fine. But normally belonging problem, it can normally happen by a classification or a group, a position group. Normally it can happen sometimes. I've been places where it's your non-travel team, right? Your non-travel, since they're not traveling, they're going to do things. No. This is what needs to happen. And so when you're looking at the warning signs of belonging problem for me, whenever I worked in player development and may work in your program, when there is a group of individuals making choices, and normally in that group, if it's 10 or more, there's 2 that should not be making those choices. And you're like, why, right? Why are you making that choice? In Urban Meyer's book, which is over there, one thing I love that he had a 10-80-10. 10% of your team is doing the right thing, 80% on the fence, and then 10% are not doing aren't doing the right thing. They're your ones that are in trouble. And so you're fighting for that middle 80. So whenever we had a group, it was immediate that we're fighting for this middle 80 and that there is a belonging problem somewhere. There is somewhere where this group of people, the whatever, if it's a classification, whatever it may be, they feel disconnected. They don't feel seen, valued, heard, or I talked about it a couple weeks ago. You can find it right here. There has been a disconnect, right? And what happened with those newcomers, the disconnect was this, and the belonging, once I got to the bottom of it, the disconnect was we were recruited. The entire staff reached out to us. We had all these people hyping us up. We move in, and then you move on to the next class. So here we are. We don't feel valued. We don't feel seen. We don't feel heard. We don't feel like we belong because you've moved on. So we're going to make some choices, and we're going to come together and create our own culture. Now, thankfully, we nipped that bad boy in the bud. We nipped it in the bud and ended up winning a conference championship with that team. And I remember having to sit there with one of the O-linemen who actually ended up being a 2-year starter for that program. And he was like, oh, those guys won. Those guys beat this team. Those guys. And I was like, hey, man, come to my office. And we sat down. We said, well, I just walked him. I said, man, I hear your comments. You know that they're negative, but we're going to break it down. I said, how many years were you a starter in high school? 3 years. I was all state. I said, did you honestly come in here? Did you think you were going to crack the starting lineup in O-line? He's like, no. I said, so why are you feeling this way? Why are you feeling this way? Well, it just feels like it's them and us. I said, who told you that? Well, I just, I feel like a lot of attention's on the travel team and the starters. Like that's part of it, right? But who told you that that you didn't belong, that you didn't care in our program, right? We need you to do scout. We need you to be a great scout player because it helps us on Saturdays. And it was an interesting conversation and it went well. The kid was a little sarcastic. I didn't know how it would go, but it went really, really well to where he stopped. He stopped. He was the guy. He was the guy at that class. Like, they won. Congratulations. Woo, big time game. Or like on the sideline, he wouldn't get hyped. Like, well, I'm not playing. He was that guy, right? Some of you all know what I'm talking about. And so had a conversation with him, right? And that there it is. When you see the warning signs are there. It's a group leader, different words. You start to get some different clicks, things like that. And a lot of it happens. So you have to find a disconnect for those warning signs of belonging, because belonging is pivotal to your program. Now, if you want to talk more belonging, I'll have some videos at the end of this video for your program. Belonging is a part of the Beyond framework, which is belonging, education, your purpose, opportunities, navigation, development systems. I would love to help you in your program. Maybe you're a high school coach, maybe you're a college coach, maybe you're athletic director, administrator, whoever you may be. I welcome you to click the link in the show notes that says Beyond Beyond Framework Assessment. That's going to tell me more about your program and how I can help you. As always, it's great to see you all here. Thank you all for being here. Go out and create generational impact. Share this with someone that needs this. And I will see y'all next week as we put a bow on the belonging aspect of our series.